Yeah, you got it started?
You're good to go.
All right, thank you. All right, I'll be calling the Village of Cross Plains Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee to order for November 2nd, 2022. Roll call, please.
Committee member Cutler,
Here.
committee member Hillebrand,
Here.
committee member Henry,
Here.
trustee Pomakowski,
Here.
and President Langfeld.
Here. All right, we'll go to public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes while the Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee encourages input from residents. It may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. I don't think there's anybody else here, is there?
No, no.
All right, we'll go right to reports. Start. I don't know if everybody knows, but we have an offer on the current, an accepted offer on current Village Hall. The appraisal came in at 330,000. The person said that they would pay that amount. We won't close until within 3 months after we move out of the building. So there's no worry of us being booted out of there. So that's kind of on that set. Budget, we should have the public hearing next month and hopefully that'll pass with that. We'll be talking about the last part of the budget process this year. I asked everybody to come up with cost savings or efficiencies, and we call them the budget adjustment plan. So we'll be going over the summary sheet on that and seeing which ones we might want to handle with as the finance committee. That is a lot of projects for 2023 we're working on so they can go out to bid. That's about all I have. Any committee members want to speak to anything?
I just have a question. I hear Chief Tony keeps asking about another officer. Is that something that we're going to have to talk about in the near future?
Well, the board went in a different direction. They went into, his request was to hire part-time officers. So currently in the budget, there's $12,000, 10,000 for salary, 2,000 for uniforms for part-time officers.
Okay.
Anything else? Otherwise, we'll go to finance director.
I can't think of anything. Just want to thank Jay and all the board members and the staff for his work on the budget, and I think we'll come up with a number that everyone's happy with.
The one thing I should mention, because this is something that I think this committee has to do when we do the adjusted, is we are now 117, this year we're $117,000 from the levy cap. Last year we were 184. So we are, if the path continues the way we're going in 2025, we're going to be struggling a little bit. So I think that's where it's really important for this committee and all these suggestions is we kind of start putting that into practice so we can at least push that off and maybe never have to get right up to where there's a gap like a lot of other communities are dealing with right now. So that's one other thing I wanted to comment so you guys are aware of it. All righty, we'll go to general business. Discussion and possible approval of the October 5th, 2022 Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same. I will abstain since I wasn't at that meeting.
Are you
Um,
feeling better now?
Oh, yeah, I made the mistake of getting my booster and flu shot, and then I was feeling a little drained, so I thought I was gonna lay down for 20 minutes, and it ended up to be an hour and a half. So I was feeling great when I woke up, but I was a little surprised I actually slept that long. I usually don't take naps, so. Well, anyways, lesson learned. All right, number 2, discussion and possible action regarding consultant satisfactory survey results. Bobby, you want to kind of take lead on this? I don't know if there's really anything we have to do with it.
Yeah, so I just took all the results and took the average of everyone who completed each section. And so that's what you're seeing on the screen now is the average of everyone who voted on each category. Most of them did very well. A lot of 4s and 5s. There's a couple that had 3s. Maybe the assessor looks like it was the lowest one. We just feel like sometimes they aren't the best at communicating or, knowing the real market values of the village. I think were some of the comments. Here we got. Yeah, because a lot of people around Dane County and throughout the state use associated appraisals. And so I think the person that wrote this comment kind of looked at some of their other communities and just felt that maybe they didn't know Cross Plains that well.
How many people survey?
We just did department head, so that would have been, I think, probably 7 people took the survey, 7, 8.
Well, was there 5 of us? 5 or 6?
Well, there's 6, yeah. But did Becky take it or no?
No.
Oh,
Nope, so
okay.
it'd been myself, Brian, Mike, Jerry, Pam, and Tony. So 6 of
Okay.
us.
Okay. And of course, not everybody answered all the questions, I wouldn't think, because I would think some
Right,
people.
yeah, not everybody answered all of them.
So it's a very small sample, but what I wanted to make sure is whoever the village president next year, they have to appoint consultants every odd year. The village president has to basically nominate companies for these positions. So I think it's just good that we do this every once in a while to make sure everybody's feeling comfortable that we have the right people. All right, I don't think we need to take any action on this at all,
Okay.
but it was good that we did it. And Deb, thanks for putting it together.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. I have learned to do those very quickly.
Oh, good. We're going to be needing another one in the future. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you guys. The leaf pickup is started this year, as you know. And Jerry said so far it's going pretty good. It's a little, the first couple of weeks they could get through really pretty quickly. Now with so many leaves out there, it actually takes more than a day for them just to do the test area. So at the end of this, we'll be pulling some data together and looking at different options. But so far, it's going well, and we're collecting some pretty good data. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I noticed Monday morning, a lot of my neighbors had leaves all along the curbs. So a lot of pickup in my
Yeah.
neighborhood.
And I thought it was pretty clear in the letter that we handed out that if there was some reason they may not get picked up that exact day, because I get ones when they don't get picked up, how come they haven't picked up my leaves? I'm saying, well, give them time. They could have got called off, or there's just too many to be picked up, whatever. And then the next day they get picked up. But yeah, it's just kind of an educational thing but I thought it was interesting too, in the sense that, man, people just give these guys a break. If it's 2-3 days, maybe, give a call and see if they missed, but boy, if it wasn't exactly on Thursday. But it's going well according to Jerry, so it'll be interesting. We'll have to do a report on that and come up with some options for the board. All right, anything else on the consultant one? Otherwise, we'll move to discussion and possible action regarding budget adjustment plans. What we sent out to you is just the summary I put together since staff did this individually. There was a lot of repeats in it. And it would have been too worthy of a document. If you want to see what everybody submitted, you can go to the last board meeting packet, and they're all included in that. But what I'd like to do is go down this list and see what you guys think our committee might have an interest in. Even, and there'd be some of these where it'll be dual, there'll be a number. So just so you know, the first one, this one would go across all departments. So it talks about, it would be looking at traffic ticket fees. It would be looking at building permit fees. It'd be looking at conditional use permit fees. It would be whatever fees.
Parks and
that
Rec
we-
stuff.
Yeah, the fees we charge Park and Rec. What I was gonna do is obviously break that out, because I think public safety should be looking at the fees for traffic. I think Parks and Rec should be looking at the fees for the recreation side of it. I don't know who should really be looking at the permit side of it, but that's something there. But what I was thinking of doing is at least giving out certain communities, so we're all looking at apples to apples, just to try to get some consistency on what we're pulling off. Because I don't want to cherry pick where this community has real high traffic, so let's go with that for traffic, but then we'll do this community. Let's just look at what communities do as a whole with these different areas. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah.
Is,
I mean,
go ahead.
just as a curiosity, is that something you need to discuss, like paying vendors via ACH or, a credit card? Getting rid of checking and such usually makes it easier for
Well,
everyone
that's on the
involved.
list, so we'll get down
But-
to that. That's-
Okay, yeah, okay.
But I guess, is there any of the fees and fines you think we should be looking at? And I guess the only one that I can't think of a committee to go to, since we don't have a public works or anything, would be the permit side of it.
So I think just the normal building permit stuff, I think Tracy sets the fees. So it'd be like
Oh,
any of
that's
the
true.
in-house ones that don't require an inspection, we could set those fees. Or things like, conditional use permit, special event permit, like there's a bunch of.
Yeah, okay, the ones that we have the control over, is that something? That's the only one that I don't know where that would go. It would probably be left to staff to do it if we don't do it. What are people's thoughts?
How much are the fees being enforced? I mean, when I got my water heater replaced, I discovered afterwards that I needed a building permit. And I got it done by Sauk Plains, which, is
They
located
never
in
pull a
Corral.
permit, and we've talked to them about that. They're awful.
Okay, right.
Never pull the permits.
I don't mean to be mean, but why aren't you, I guess, smacking them down? There should be a punishment for that. That's a fine thing.
But the problem is that they're a third party. It's the responsibility of the homeowner to make sure they have the permits, not the plumbing company. Generally, the contractor, that's part of the deal, that they'll pull all the permits. But I think if you looked at our ordinance, I think it's more of a burden on the individual that the permits.
Then I recommend changing that burden to the business. Because I'm asking a homeowner to keep track of, I'm calling to get this fixed. that is something you expect to hear from a contractor of what permits you need. They never
unreal-
mentioned it.
It's unrealistic to enforce it on a third party. They
Yeah,
can add it onto your tax bill if you don't pay it, or there's all kinds of mechanisms to get it if you don't do it, but to try to enforce it just is impossible.
I don't even think it's legal. I don't think a third party can be held responsible for something like that. But we can check into it and see that's what I'm saying. We can check to see how other communities deal with it. I'm not sure a lot of them require the permits on the things we do. You know what I mean? I don't know if the city of Madison requires you to get a permit for a water heater.
As
You know
I
what I
said,
mean?
then we
I-
need to educate the community, even myself, because yeah,
Oh, I-
this is not stuff that I've been here for 20 years. It never even occurred to me until I think I mentioned it at one of these meetings that I needed a permit.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, the last time I was on the board and we talked about this, I thought we were not charging anybody for any permit that didn't require an inspection. We
20
wanted to
bucks.
Huh?
It's $20 for administrative costs. for us
Yeah,
to-
but see, I thought when we did that before, when we talked about this, was mine. Why are we making them pay for something and they're not getting anything out of it? What are they getting out of it to have a permit for a water heater? Now, if we had an inspector come in and say, yeah, it was hooked up correctly, then I think you're getting something for it. But to pay for administrative work on a permit that the person doesn't get it, they don't get anything out of it. That's what I never could understand. Why we ask for permits if we never check to make sure the water heater is installed to code. Right?
No,
No, I
I don't
agree with you.
disagree. I just,
Yeah, but anyways, is that something we want to take on as a committee?
No,
You mean just a review of all the different permits and stuff? To
Yeah, I would
see-
look, it would
Sure.
be, I would look at a couple other communities to see what they do, not only for what they're requiring permits for, but what are they charging?
Yeah, that's not too hard.
All right. Oh, there, yeah, you got it right
Yeah.
there. We could just work off of this.
so that one's
So-
all building permits.
Yeah, so, all right, why don't we take that on? Because I'm trying to make sure that we don't put too much extra work on staff. So why don't we do
What
this? one?
communities are you thinking about comparing to? like-
I'm gonna have to look, we did one of, the county does one for not only the county and the state for groupings of communities. I'll have to take a look. And then we can, I haven't got that far yet. But I'm
Okay.
looking at probably 3 or 4, and I'll pull them off the list there, because obviously they're willing to share their information. All right, the next one is creation of a village grant committee. I don't think that would be us. That would be more the board. The next one is the elimination of text my gov service. I think that's a policy thing for the board. If someone disagrees, just shout out. Share costs with other municipalities for service and equipment needs. I was thinking I could take lead on that and work with staff. I'm not sure if that's something that I could bring back to this committee for ideas maybe, but I'm not sure what we as a committee would do on that. That's more of kind of starting it with basic relationship.
Yeah, that sounds like a conversation with Jerry to see if it's even possible. I mean,
Well, I'd go greater than that. I don't think it just has to be restricted to public works. I think there's probably other avenues. Implement implement a wheel tax. We can bring that report back out. Maybe just update it a little bit. Just to see, I'm guessing we have more cars than when we did this calculation, but we can bring that.
Yeah, I can replay with the numbers, but $5 is a lot of bad will for, or that's a lot of bad will for only $5 a car.
That was just an example.
Right,
Just to say.
I'm just,
Yeah. I mean, but it's a, yeah, I don't know. I thought we did $20 when we
Yeah,
were
I think
doing
it was just, the
right.
report was broken to $5 increments, so I just
Yeah,
did the.
yeah.
Honestly, I think that after doing all that research, that the transportation utility is way more fair because it does approach businesses and schools and nonprofits. And if you look in town, those are the ones who are bringing some of the heaviest vehicles into the community, thus causing the most wear and tear.
And if I remember, we have a PowerPoint on that, right?
Yep,
We can dust that off and bring it to the board.
absolutely. Let me know, and I'm happy to come explain it all.
Okay, so we'll do those two. We'll bring those back up. All right, review our consultant services for possible RFPs. With the results that we got back, I'm not sure if there's a big desire to do that. I mean, comments?
I guess that's the question I would ask is did any of the staff say, hey, this is, I mean, you can read the survey. I mean, obviously the assessor was the only one that seemed to be low to me.
And I
Yeah.
don't think we'd get those services any cheaper. I don't know, but I'm just,
Yeah,
It never
Yeah.
hurts to ask around, because, just by asking occasionally makes people reassess their
that's very
amounts
true.
of child.
And I thought Jerry said he was gonna put out the mowing, the village mowing. I thought we had decided, talked about that a couple staff meetings ago, because he was getting inquiries from other companies.
oh, okay.
So that's a possibility of one that I think Jerry's already talking about. All right, so we'll put that on there and just see, but we got a lot of people that are really tied, the historical part is so beneficial a lot of times with our engineer and our attorney. They've been around for so long, they have historical that can really help a little bit, but. All right, change recycling fees on property tax bill instead of levying for services. This is one that was in a number of articles I read on trying to relieve your levy limit thing. I think this is something that we could explore as a group. I think this one fits for getting the facts on how it works, what it would do. I'm not real sure how it works. I know it's not instant, but I think we should explore this one for sure. Let's all right, pay vendors via ACH. Isn't that more of a staff thing?
Sorry, I got one question about the recycling. Are there businesses in town using local pickup, or are they all getting their own
I think the
private?
majority of businesses go private on their own.
We
But
do
I
have
know there
some
are,
small businesses that still do the
Yeah.
recycling, but not many.
yeah. But we should just look at that anyways. All right, the vending.
That would be a Bobby's honor one.
Okay, all right. Eliminate the insert with the tax bills. Is that the letter that explains everything?
Yeah, I didn't know how many people actually read those or not. Or if we think they're helpful or,
They're actually kind of interesting, but they're also easy to download. Or look
Yeah,
online.
for $200, I think it's worth the education part of it. Especially when, if some of these referendums pass, how the bills are gonna jump up, it's good for people to see how much is going for the other taxing agencies and not just blame it on us. I think, but again, I was thinking that's more of a board thing. I don't know if we could play a role in that. Next one, shop around for different property liability insurance carriers. Do you think there's anything cheaper than aren't we part of the League of Municipalities insurance?
we are, yes. I didn't know if there were other options or other groups that a lot of people are in like that or.
I think there are other options, but I'm not sure they're gonna be cheaper than that co-op, but I don't know. But that's something that probably you could do or staff.
Yeah,
I-
so
I
we
don't
actually
know if-
just got the renewal quotes. Our policy runs December 1 to, no, November 30. So I don't think we'd
Oh.
have time to shop around this month, but
Okay,
definitely next year I can put that on my list.
all right. Yeah, I'm just going through and looking at stuff that we could grab. All right, it says increase marketing promotion for users to switch to paperless billing for water sewer.
How much of a difference would that make?
To send out a postcard, like what, 30 cents a month per thing, so.
Per person?
Per household.
Right, yeah,
That's
Per
just the
person per month.
postage. That's
But
right,
never
that's
doesn't
just the
include
postage, yeah, it's not the
the
card stock
paper,
and the
your
ink and.
time, etc. I would guess it's a lot more than 30 cents per.
Well, and then someone has to return a check, which somebody has to open and deposit and all that. I mean, if you're gonna change that, I think you're just, education part of it isn't gonna do anything. You just have to change people's behavior. I would suggest you do it just like they do the tolls. You know, the tolls in Illinois used to be, you could either pay it, or then they said it, you know, it became, you had to pay double, which we're not saying, I'm not suggesting that, but you pay more if you pay by check than if you pay by ACH because of the cost savings. And that
They
would,
do, yeah, they do that when you go to the DMV or one of their convenient machines at every grocery store. That it's not an unreasonable fee.
Okay,
And-
so help me out. How many are the majority? Do we have a paperless system now?
Yeah.
So
So
is that
that's where
something-
you sign up instead of getting the postcard in the mail, that you just sign up for an online account and you only view your bill online.
But do you still have to write a check?
You can
Yeah.
pay
Or-
however you want.
You do it automatically?
You can, yep, sign up with us for auto pay. You can sign up with PSN auto pay. You can pay online with PSN, or you can send a check or cash, like.
Huh,
The paperless
Uh,
billing has nothing to do with how you pay your bill. It's just how you receive your bill.
Right.
I use, the way I pay mine personally is I just tell UW Credit Union to pay it and they electronically deliver it to the village.
And then
'Cause
I
it's
get an
not
email
work-
that says Deb Cutler made a payment and I check that it
Mhm.
got deposited in my account the next day and then I key in the payment.
I think that's worth trying to get people to do that.
There's
You'd
a
be
step.
surprised by how many of the older crowd don't even think about such things.
Well, I'm one of
Uh,
those.
Well, yeah, you know, I had this conversation with my mother-in-law. She was having the worst time setting up online payment for her health insurance. And I was like, well, why don't you just have the credit union send a check every month? And she went, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So toss a fee and some education and everybody will be happy.
you just have to incentivize people to do it electronically and say, give them money and raise the fee for the ones that don't.
Yeah,
because it, but
all
so
right. Well, why don't we take that on? And that way we can give the board some options. Because that'll be,
Okay,
this one I think we can take. I think it would be a good thing to do.
Jay,
Yeah,
you missed the eliminate cable at the village hall.
yeah, I figure that's gonna be more the staff to do.
Okay,
I mean, I don't, it's you either do it or you don't, right? What are we gonna really look at?
right.
Yeah, yeah,
who
sorry about
even
that. I just,
watches cable anymore?
well, that's the whole thing. I think that's what, I think that's what it was left at, that staff needs to look at. Is there any value in having that, you know? But yeah,
Don't they also have it over at like, wherever the facilities guys are? I remember reading once upon a time.
Yeah, but they actually watch theirs,
For what?
like during their lunch break and stuff. They'll turn on the TV. We used to, but nobody, like in the winter, if it's snowing, Renee will, instead of driving home, she'll like, bring a lunch and sit in there and watch TV, but for the most part, it doesn't get used that often here.
so then the next one is stop picking up brush for all non-tax paying properties. I think that's a board decision. That's either yes or no. Now, this next one, provide 4 brush pickups per year per tax paying address at no charge. Additional pickup, a fee would be charged. I think there's a number of options we can do to save in that category. So I kind of would like us to take that. You know, that, I think this one, what would the charge be? And secondly, who's going to keep track of all the administrative, how many times you've been? I'd rather see it where we only do it once a month instead of twice a month, or, you know, that's, you know, there's other options, I guess, to save. I know where Jerry's coming from on that. So I think that's something we should look at. I think that's a good one.
And you can make an argument that you're trying to make your carbon footprint look smaller.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a lot of options out there. All right, as existing staff retires or leave, you get people with different skill sets. I think that's a staff thing. It makes sense to me, but I don't think we would have anything in that.
I also think
Um,
well and good, but you can't even hardly find employees that take the jobs, let alone trying to find them with all the additional skills.
No, but I guess if that's an option,
Yeah.
you know. But you're right. But then again, the economy could tank and all of a sudden it could go the other way. Who knows? Recreation of the Village Economic Development Committee, that's clearly a board thing. Consider adding a municipal room tax. This was an interesting, and I didn't really think, there's 2 reasons this was brought up. One, it's easier to get this before you have a hotel or a lot of people that would have to pay it. Secondly, I know the city of Madison does, and I don't know how many Airbnbs we have in the village. You know, they get a room tax in the city of Madison. You got to do the paperwork and you got to pay a room tax. So I don't know if it would be worthwhile if we bring any money in, or it'd be more of a administrative nightmare. But I was thinking maybe that's something we could look into. Thoughts?
I didn't even know there were Airbnbs in Cross Plains.
I don't know if there are or not. I would think that there might be. We're pretty close to Middleton. We got the trout stream. We got the bicycle. I don't know.
Well, and I think too, if that property and American Legion ever comes to fruition where they wanted to rent out the top,
No.
you know, it'd be in place before that opened up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something we should look at. I don't think it would take too much. Again, we just copy someone else's and look at it, but I guess we could go on Airbnb and some of these other sites and see if there's anything in Cross Plains. I
I'm
have,
looking right now.
oh. I would think for maybe Badger games there might be, or Iron Man, the Fit Bit or the Fit thing, whatever they call that.
There are none that I can find on a quick search.
Okay, well then, well, that answers that. But anyways, it's something I think we could look into. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time.
I mean, I think you have a hotel coming and that makes sense. I mean, the only one that I know of is that building that the Caracas were doing. I think they were trying to put an Airbnb up at the top, but they haven't done anything there. So,
Yeah,
but it's still, there's no revenue there at this point. It's whether or not you will find some in the future.
yeah. I think it's just worth looking at and just see what happens. The next one, I'm gonna take lead on it, but I'll bounce it off here. So there's a clear understanding because it's clearly a finance thing, and then it'll be a board decision. Next one, that's a staff thing.
Hasn't Michael done most of that work anyway?
Well, no, yes, Michael has done the work on the back end, right? But my feeling is, are we going to repeat the same error if we don't have a good process where there's good documentation that both the village and MG&E agrees on the number of new lights in a development and who owns them? That's what's gotten us into this problem. They just send a email saying, charge them up. And then, that's how we got into the mess that we're in right now. What I'm trying to say with this one is, let's have something written down that somehow there's agreement with MG&E in the village as soon as these developments come online. So we're not doing this 10 years from now saying, how come we're getting charged for this many lights when we don't have this many? This way you can pull that form out. Both parties have agreed, this is how many lights and this is who owns them. So that's what that is, but I think that's something staff should do. But I think we need to do it because, and to be honest with you, and I brought it up, we need to do something soon because while we received credit for the number of lights, they're still charging us for 2 more than their own data says they have. Plus, we're still being charged as if all these lights that we believe we own are owned by MG&E. So the bleeding is still going on every month. We're still paying until we get this cleaned up. And I'm telling you, over since 1988, when we turned it over, we probably, it wouldn't surprise me if it's $250,000 we've overpaid. And that's just not right. So we got to end that right away. But anyways, I think staff needs to do that. And then reduce consulting service this year by 1%. That's just a goal that I think we should be able to do. With all the, I mean, we're spending over $500,000 on contract services and stuff. We should be able to try to save 1,000 of that. And it can be fairly simple of just waiting for staff meetings instead of going to our consultants in between and being charged every 15 minutes, every email, every phone call. And then the next 3, I just don't see us. I think that's more for Parks and Recreation and Jerry to deal with. Does anybody have any other ideas that we might want to add on for our committee to look at?
No.
Otherwise, I thought staff did a really good job. There's a lot of potential here. Well, if you think of anything, send it to me and I'll throw it on the list. All right, so there's really no action that we need to do on that. I'll try to firm things up a little bit for the next meeting, and then maybe we can make assignments then.
Okay.
All righty, future agenda items. Does anybody have anything they'd like to throw on this list?
No.
Well, I will try, the next one is 1st of December, so I'll try to have this done, but I don't think we'll have all the data collected on pilot curbside leaf pickup. We'll do that probably in January. I'll share that with you. I'll try to put it into a report. And I guess we'll just have to wait and see if other items come up. I'll probably try to get this, at least some ideas on what I'm thinking about using the expenditure recent program to get the money and how to work that into our budget process. I'll probably have some ideas I'll bounce off of you guys. Anything else? All right,
Nope.
hearing nothing. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right,
No second.
okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting is over. Thank you very much. You guys have a good evening, all right?